All right, and record, focus, yes. All right, we're good. Hey everybody, this is day 11 of my 40th birthday fundraiser for the Norwegian Refugee Council. Today, my AMA question comes from Brian. I talked to him previously today, and he was saying, he commented on how I focus a lot on accessibility whenever I talk about the web and just in general. And he was wondering why I'm so focused specifically on accessibility on the web and everywhere else. So I thought I'd address this by kind of explaining why I think accessibility matters, not just because of people who need accessibility, but accessibility matters in general. This really stems from my understanding of what the web is for. So to me, the web very much is a communication tool that we use to send information around. It is an information distribution tool. And at its core, the web is based on a very simple principle of accessibility. You publish content onto the web, and then you allow the people on the other end of that conversation to consume that content in whatever way they want. And HTML, the markup language we use for the web, is designed in that way. If you write proper semantic HTML, then the end user, the person who opens that document, can open that in a myriad of different ways. They can use a web browser, but they can also use a text-to-speech browser or any number of other tools to get access to that information. Because what HTML does is it says what each element within the document is. It doesn't say anything about how it behaves or what it looks like. It declares what those elements are, and then the client that is used to access the document figures out what to do with those elements. Now, accessibility to me is important because it actually makes the content accessible. And the whole purpose of publishing something online, or pretty much doing anything in the world, is to make whatever we have, our ideas and creations and everything else, accessible to other people. On the web, accessibility is tremendously important because more and more of what we do in the world is put onto the web, and that's the only place you can really access it. So therefore, everyone should have access to it. But if we stop thinking about accessibility as something that's provided to people who need accessibility tools, like someone with a disability or someone who is in a situation where they can't use what is considered normal or regular tools to access content, and think instead of accessibility as setting a baseline for our content that says everyone should have access to it and be allowed to control how they access this content. It's not our job to distribute the content. It is our job to make it available to people. It is not our job to dictate exactly how they can access that. And there's some really good examples of this if we look outside the web. For example, if you go to any kind of public building or any commercial building, you'll likely see things like wheelchair ramps outside that make it easy for people with wheelchairs to gain access to those buildings. But what you'll also notice is those wheelchair ramps are often used by people who don't have wheelchairs, like people who are walking, or people who have a stroller, or people who have a bike or a skateboard or anything else. In fact, in some buildings, the wheelchair ramp is actually an easier way to access the building than the traditional stairs. You also see accessibility in places where you need to traverse multiple floors. You'll often have escalators, which are accessibility features. You don't have to walk up the stairs. You can just stand and the stairs will lift you up. You have elevators, and you have other types of accessibility issues. Now, these are so common that we don't really think about them. If you go to a mall, there are going to be escalators and elevators. That's just a given. And when the escalator's down, people are like, oh, how am I supposed to get upstairs? Now I have to walk. In fact, the stairs are often well hidden, so you'd have to climb the escalator. So accessibility is built into most of the interactions we have in the world because we want everyone to be able to access them. And the same thing goes for the web. The web is accessible at core. If it's not accessible, it means that a design or some sort of interaction that's created on top of the document has made it inaccessible. And that's the key, that when we build things for the web, it should be accessible because the web itself is accessible. And we need to make sure that we build fancy stuff on top of the web so that it remains accessible. My simple rule is, number one, make it accessible. Number two, make it fancy. And number three, make sure the fancy doesn't break accessibility. That's it. Like I said, this is an AMA in support of my fundraiser for the Norwegian Refugee Council. If you have a question you want me to answer in one of these videos, you can send it in by going to the link here. If you want to donate to the fundraiser, I'd truly appreciate it. That way we can help people who are displaced and who are refugees all over the world. You can also do that by following this link, or you can just watch these videos and share them, and hopefully someone else will contribute either a question or some money or both. That's it. See you tomorrow.